You notice it in small moments first. Your phone lights up with messages from friends, coworkers, maybe even people you barely know. But one name never appears. A parent, a sibling, someone who used to be part of your everyday life. Weeks pass, then months. You tell yourself you'll call them soon. You think about it more times than you can count. But somehow, you never do. From the outside, it can look cold, like distance, like you simply stopped caring. But inside, the truth is often much more complicated. Because sometimes the people who never call back are the ones who carry the heaviest emotions about picking up the phone. So the real question isn't why someone avoids the call. The real question is what that call represents. And for many people, it represents far more than just a conversation. First, there's the feeling that shows up before anything even happens. You see their name, or you think about reaching out, and your body becomes slightly tense. Not dramatic, just a quiet heaviness. Psychologically, this is often the nervous system responding to emotional memory. Our brains store relationships not only as memories, but as physical sensations. If interactions with someone have historically involved criticism, pressure, or emotional unpredictability, the body remembers even if the present moment is calm. So the brain protects itself in a subtle way. It delays the call, not out of cruelty, but out of regulation, because distance can feel safer than reopening an emotional pattern. The mind has learned to approach carefully. This becomes even clearer in families where conversations rarely stayed simple. A quick check-in could slowly turn into questions about life choices, career decisions, relationships, or why you haven't visited more often. Psychologically, this connects to internalized expectations. Over time, the brain begins to associate certain people with evaluation, with needing to explain yourself, with feeling observed rather than simply understood. So avoiding the call becomes less about avoiding the person and more about avoiding the feeling of being examined. And strangely, this behavior often began as a useful strategy. Many people grew up learning that minimizing conflict kept the emotional environment calmer. Staying quiet, creating space, choosing the path that caused the least tension. These patterns once helped maintain stability. The brain learned them early and kept them close. Because the brain rarely abandoned strategies that once protected emotional safety. But here's the part nobody tells you. Sometimes the silence isn't about fear at all. Sometimes it's about identity. As people grow older, they slowly build lives that reflect who they've become. New routines, new beliefs, new versions of themselves. And occasionally returning to certain family conversations feels like stepping back into an older role. The responsible child, the misunderstood one, the one who always had to justify their decisions. Psychologically, this becomes a form of identity protection. The mind quietly tries to preserve the version of you that exists today. And certain conversations feel like they might pull you back into identities you've already grown beyond. And this is where it gets interesting. The brain has one more trick here. Avoidance can actually reduce emotional overload. Family relationships carry decades of shared history, old arguments, expectations, unresolved feelings. Even a simple call can activate all of it at once. Memories, responsibilities, guilt, warmth, tension. The brain senses that emotional weight before the conversation even begins. So it postpones the moment. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Not because the relationship means nothing, but because it means so much that the mind hesitates to reopen everything at once. As life moves forward, the meaning of this pattern often changes. When people are younger, the distance can feel like independence, a quiet way of creating space for your own life. Later on, it can feel more reflective, more layered, sometimes holding both warmth and hesitation at the same time. The behavior